sort of skidded his way down the trunk and climbed down to the bottom, ever so non-gracefully. But it's still making for a beautiful sight here, with 2 lions up the tree and the rest of them all sleeping in the shade of it down below. A beautiful shepherd's tree. Joy, you want to know if some of the males are starting to sprout manes? A little bit. You can just start to see on some of them with a little bit of extra hair there. You see that one, you can see starting to grow his sideburns, which is normally why I call them Elvis in those younger years, because they've got wonderful lamb chops, and that's normally the first sign of the mane. And then they get a little mohawk as it sprouts up the top of their head, and then it starts to fill out from the sides. That's generally how it evolves. But the first thing to appear are definitely those lovely lamb chops. But they're all looking very happy lying here in the shade. There's quite a few birdies calling in the early afternoon, or the late afternoon, should I say. A couple of the rufous-naped larks. Now, Elaine, you want to know how old I would say some of these youngsters are? Well, most of them are generally over 6 months, because they are very able to follow in the hunt, and it's normally around 6 months when they start being weaned and following with the hunt as well. So these youngsters definitely over 6 months. I would say probably heading towards a year, all of them, but for the exact dates of when they're born and so on, I'm sure Jamie has got all that information, but that's what I would say. They're probably all heading around that year mark, and quite capable of following up with the pride and with the hunt as well. And the other day when we found a zebra carcass, there were lovely cubs tracks around it as well, where the adults had been feeding and so on. So these youngsters are also feeding fully on meat too. So they just need to fill out now and grow a little bit, and then they'll be fully fledged adults. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the dynamics of this group, because there's quite a few males, and I wonder where the conflict is going to happen between them and the territorial males around this area. There will be some action, and there will be some males pushed off or killed at the worst case scenario if they're not willing to back down or they don't leave the area. There has to be a winner and a loser, and there's no negotiations in between. Paul, you want to know who's fathered these cubs? Would it be Scarface and his coalition? Paul, for where they are in terms of the geography, it's quite possible it could be either Scar and his coalition, but that's quite far from here. The males that I've seen closer in this area being the KenyaMaasaiMaraPMSafariLIVE boys, so I'm assuming it might be one of them, but I would have to find out from Jamie. It could well be Scarface and his coalition if they've moved through here, but as I say, closer to this area, and with the males that I see most often being the KenyaMaasaiMaraPMSafariLIVE boys. But that's not to say that it's absolutely them, but for me it would make sense. But yeah, I'll have to find out the exact father. I'm sure Jamie knows, and so does Brent, so I'll just find out from them this evening. But I would have thought it's those KenyaMaasaiMaraPMSafariLIVE boys. Anyway, we'll soon have the answer. And if any of your viewers have the answer, please feel free to get involved. Send it through on your comments or ask the questions. Anything else you'd like to know about the lions, we can always bandy it about. Okay, it seems I've just heard through the Bush Telegraph that I got it right, the Kichwa Watemba boys. It makes sense just because of the location where these Ngama Oloololo females are, and the Kichwa Watemba boys not being too far from here. So Scarface and his coalition, I think, a little bit further down the river road in that kind of area. So I don't know, this might be a little bit of a bridge too far for them. But this is really turning out to be a very large pride, and it's not too long. There seems to be quite a big cub boom at the moment, and it's not going to be too long, and there will be conflict. It's going to be very interesting to see. It might be quite exciting at times. It could be quite sad at times, but that's the way nature works, and the whole dynamics of gregarious groups of animals. Yes, this is such a beautiful sighting. I think we might just change position a couple of times, but I don't think for now we're going to go anywhere. And while we maybe look for a better position, let's head you on over to Jamie, and maybe she's got some more information about these lions for us.